Welcome to the Learning Lab Player Edition. This is where we meet to talk about the rules of the game, skills and strategies in a safe space. You can ask any questions that you would like. And then, with time permitting, we're going to do some gameplay with commentary on a chosen topic. I've chosen the topic of trends during the Charleston. Watching for trends during the Charleston. And we'll be able to do that, I think, later in this segment. We do need to leave at 5 till 2 today because I have another appointment. So you might hear a beeper go off. Just don't want anyone to get startled, including me. So that is the plan. I would like to start by saying thank you to our brand new channel members, Linda, Judy, and Dawn. Thank you very much for becoming a channel member and showing your support of MAHJLIFE. I hope that you enjoy the content. I also want to say thank you for watching my videos, and thank you to our channel moderators who will be helping monitor the chat. Before we open it up for questions, I want to mention the Learning Lab and what it's all about, just in case you don't know. The Learning Lab is a safe space for players to ask questions about the game. Any questions are welcome, and there are no dumb questions ever. Even repeat questions are fine, because we all started in the same place, and not everybody uses social media where there's a lot of opportunities to learn from experienced players on several different platforms, I guess you could say, including MAHJLIFE. On Facebook, if you use Facebook, you can join MAHJLIFE. Just go to hashtag MAHJLIFE in Facebook, and you'll find my Facebook group. I have another Facebook group for the Learning Lab specifically. This is a private Facebook group for players where you can ask questions in a safe space, and only vetted instructors who are part of the MAHJLIFE Instructor Guild will be answering questions about the rules. Any instructors that are part of the Learning Lab can answer questions on skills and strategies, but we want to make sure that when a player asks a question about the rules, they get the right answer. And sometimes some instructors who are unaware that they don't know the actual rules of the game. And most, if not all, the instructors in the MAHJLIFE Instructor Guild do know the rules. We have new instructors coming in all the time, so there's a bit of a learning curve there. But our goal is to ensure that the instructors who are part of the guild know the rules. So that Learning Lab is an opportunity for not only players to get the rules, but instructors to share their teacher's voice and make sure they're conveying the rules correctly. So if you are a player, please look for the Learning Lab hashtag MAHJLIFE in Facebook. And if you're an instructor, feel free to join. If you would like to practice your teacher's voice or get peer support and have access to all kinds of resources and tools and frameworks, courses even, continuing education opportunities, and even certification, you can do that by joining the MAHJLIFE Instructor Guild. And you should be able to find links in the video description below for all of that. With that being said, I just want to open it up now to anyone who's watching. If you have any questions that you would like answered, whether it be about the National Mahjong League rules, even house rules, or sportsmanship, etiquette, skills, and strategies, this is what this space is for. So please feel free to ask those questions. And if we don't have any questions, then we're going to do some gameplay with commentary at I Love Maj. I don't see any questions yet. Thanks for coming. If you're new to Mahjong, write hashtag noob, N-O-O-B, in the live stream chat, if you like. No pressure. That way we know if we have new players, intermediate players, or even maybe advanced players. This particular episode is for players of all skill levels. Today's focus is going to be on trends in the Charleston, if we don't have any questions. And right now, it looks like we're going to go right into the topic. Okay, let's get into some nitty-gritty details on watching for trends in the Charleston. Hopefully, some of those trends will be visible. We'll see. It's something that you can't really predict. You just have to watch and see. So let's find out. I will share my screen and show you I Love Maj. There it is. I Love Maj. It's a great platform. They have the 4-player game and Siamese Mahjong, which is the 2-player version where the 2 players play. Sorry about that. Where the 2 players play 2 hands at one time. So this is the game Launchpad. This is where we'll go in just a little bit. I just want to do a little bit of exercise in the Charleston. In this space here, the exercise room, there are 5 different exercises you can do to help build your skills. And we're going to spend time in the Charleston practice. Okay, love this practice. You've been teaching noobs, and the Charleston is what they find most difficult. And here's the thing, though. Let me just go full screen for a minute, because the thing about it's interesting about the Charleston. There are a lot of interesting things about the Charleston. First of all, how did they even come up with it? That's a whole nother topic. I have no clue, but I think maybe they just wanted to quicken hand development. That's my thought, is they realized that by passing tile and wanted tiles that you can see changes, maybe have a better start from the dealt hand versus when East discards that first tile. So they came up with this idea of passing tiles without knowing the facts of why they created it like that. We'll just move on to what it actually does, the purpose of the Charleston and why it's so important. It's actually a pre-game hand development accelerator. It's not even technically part of the game because the game doesn't start until East discards that first tile after the Charleston. So the Charleston is a pre-game activity to give players a chance to transform their dealt hand. That is why the Charleston is so powerful. If you think about it, you're getting up to 21 tiles if everyone does the full Charleston, because there's 2 rounds. The first round is obligatory, the second round is optional, and then you have the optional across. There's also passing blind in the first left and last right. So that's why I say you have up to 21 tiles. If you think about it this way, it makes sense. When you get a pass, it's like 3 picks at once from the wall, but you're getting them from your opponents. Some of your opponents may play defensively and some may not. So you may get some great tiles. You may get pairs, even flowers, like numbers, all wins. So some people do not focus on what they're giving away. They only focus on what they have. So if you are lucky, you may just get some crazy passes that fit right into your hand. And then you're going to see a huge transformation. If you play with players who are defensive and pass defensively like me, then it's going to be a longer process because you may be able to use one of the tiles or 2 perhaps. So even with 1 or 2 tiles being used in a pass of 3, you will see a transformation if you make the right decisions at the right time, which is one reason why I was hoping to talk about the trends, because there are sometimes trends that you can catch in the Charleston. And if your hand is not developing, you can switch and leverage the trend in that second round. So we're going to now go back to the exercise room, and I'm going to go into Charleston practice, and we'll do 1 or 2 depending on the interest, and then we'll play with robots for the rest of the day or the session. All right, here we go. Any comments about the Charleston and the power of the Charleston? I think a lot of beginners are more overwhelmed with the logistics and also the number of tiles they're getting and how it could exponentially change their hand. That is all a bit overwhelming for beginners, but that's where the power is. This is where the transformation happens. And that is why there's so much focus at MAHJLIFE in all my videos about how to leverage the power of the Charleston. So let's see if we can do some objective learning opportunities here in Charleston practice. So I'm going to click launch exercise. If you've not tried playing at I Love Maj before, you can use MAHJLIFE as your promo code and get an extra week in your trial. I'm an affiliate partner there, so I would get a small commission if you decide to do a paid subscription. But it is a fantastic platform, especially with that exercise room. I highly recommend it. Not only for beginners, but intermediate players on a fast track and even advanced players who maybe are learning new skills and strategies. It's a great place to put those into practice. So let's get going. Oh, what is a blind pass? Okay, thank you, Anne, for asking. Let me go full screen again and I'll explain. We might even have an opportunity to do a blind pass, and I can show you when we do it. So during the Charleston, there are 2 rounds. of passes. The first round is obligatory. You have to pass 3 tiles 3 times. And there is an exception, by the way, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But when you're passing, you go right and then across and then left. The second round, everybody has to be in agreement to continue. And if everybody agrees, you do another round. And this time it's the opposite direction, left, across, right. So the first one, obligatory, right, across, left. The second one is optional. If it is unanimous to continue, you continue with left, across, right. So sorry, I think I might have misspoke. Right, across, left, then left, across, right. Once a Charleston is underway, it must be completed. Some people think that the optional round after the first can be stopped at any time, and that's not how it works. You still have to pass. In the last pass of each round, a player can choose to pass blind. And what that means is when, let's say that you only have 2 tiles that you want to let go of because you've got great tiles and you only have 2 to pass in the first left. You can take one of the incoming tiles from your pass from the player on your right and supplement that with your 2 so that you can pass 3. You're not supposed to look at it. And that's why it's called passing blind, because you're taking an incoming tile, you're not looking at it, you're passing it sight unseen so that you can pass 3. And then you pick up the 2 that remain. And you'll still have the right number of tiles. And then you're going to go across and you're going to need to pass 3, even if you have to break up your hand. And then you can pass to the right for the last pass. So on that last pass, you can pass blind again. Let's say that you only have 1 tile to pass. You can pass that 1. And when you get your incoming pass from the player on your left, you take 2 sight unseen, supplement it with your 1 so that you can pass 3. That's called passing blind. I hope that makes sense. If you look for a wiki article, I'll try to remember to add this. There's a wiki article at MAHJLIFE.com called Exercising Charleston Options. And it talks about all of that. Everything that happens during the Charleston is documented in that wiki article. So take a look at that after this episode, and that should help build your confidence in the logistics of the Charleston. There's even another article on what do you do if everybody wants to pass, let's say, 2 tiles blind or something like that. There's an IOU system, and I'll put that in the video description as well. If everybody wants to pass blind 3, you just stop the Charleston. You just stop and then move on to East discarding the first tile. Hold on 1 second. I have to do something real quick. Oh, I didn't know I was ready there already. Okay, just had to plug in something here. Okay. All right. So you're welcome. Let me make a note, though. I need to make sure that I add that to the video description. So add exercising Charleston options and IOU method to video description. So that'll be in there for you for convenience. Okay, so if anything else comes up during this broadcast, I'll be able to make those notes and update the video description afterwards. The repost from YouTube happens pretty quickly, maybe within the hour, and then you'll be able to see any links that are brought up during this broadcast. Okay, so any other questions? Let's see here. Okay. What makes a noob or intermediate player? Okay, that's a great question. A new player is either somebody who's never played before. Obviously, that's the that one is probably intuitive. Probably didn't even need to say that, but we'll just start there. So someone who has never played, someone who's been through a couple of lessons would be a noob. And I think that once somebody understands the fundamentals of the game, for example, how to mix the tiles, build the wall, how to read the card, and maybe how to get through the Charleston and go through the pick and discard phase of the game. That at a minimum, that would be anyone who could do those things would be a noob. And then once players start adding skills and they learn strategies that help them with hand development, and they learn how to anticipate things that come up in the game, or they're able to discern what a particular exposure or discard means, especially as it applies to their own hand, that's moving into intermediate territory. So if you are at this place of greater awareness in the game where you're now mindful of your opponents and what they're doing, what they're discarding, what they're exposing, even their tells, how they manage their tiles, their facial expressions, their body language, the words they say. Once you get to that level of awareness, you're in intermediate territory. And then advanced would be more things like pivoting, higher level of defensive play, complex skills and strategies, complex profiling, player profiling, hand reading, and things like that. Anticipating your changing position, determining whether to push or fold based on your potential to win. All those things are advanced. So those are just a few examples of what I would say would differentiate a noob to an intermediate to an advanced player. And I think I've seen some people document those differences, and I might do the same from my own perspective if anyone would find that helpful. But I think the timing is going to be based on the person, because everybody learns differently. And also personality has a lot to do with whether or not somebody gets the game and how fast that happens. For example, if somebody grew up playing card games and they just have a gaming mindset, they can pick up the game pretty quickly. Anybody who has an analytical mindset, or kind of an analytical mind, or they're an analytical thinker, typically they can pick up the game. Like bookkeepers and accountants can typically pick up this game because it's heavily pattern based. And so those are some of the traits that will give some people an advantage in learning the game. There are others who maybe maybe they have a challenge with eyesight, or perhaps their skill or their gift is not in reading, or they have maybe they're colorblind, or they have some other issue that keeps them from understanding how to read the card. That is going to take a little while for them to understand the game. And a lot of times instructors will be able to identify those things during lessons, and they'll be able to provide some methods to help those players find a breakthrough. So everyone, as I say, depending on personality, even physiological situations, that's going to impact the progression of the learning curve. So just because someone is a noob doesn't mean you're going to stay there very long. You could be a noob during the lesson and then leave an intermediate play as an intermediate player if you have a really fantastic instructor and maybe you're a gamer. So it just really depends. Some people learn super quick. Some people it takes a while. It's a journey. Everybody's on the journey, and the journey is it's lifelong. I'm always learning. As a matter of fact, I was just documenting, I think it's probably 8 signature talks that I'm going to be documenting, all with new ideas on how to play the game from a different perspective. So I'm always learning, and I've been playing the game for over 50 years. So yeah, sounds like you will be a noob for a long time. Oh, well, maybe you could get a coach and they can help you with some breakthroughs. Getting a coach is one way to shorten your learning curve, because what happens is sometimes when you're looking at the game and when you're playing the game, just because of pressures, you're playing with other people and you're probably putting pressure on yourself to make quick decisions, and you might make a mistake because you're putting that pressure on yourself. That's one thing that can happen, that can cause problems and delays and even enjoyment in the game. There's also, the little physiological things that could be a challenge, but with those things that are happening, sometimes you can't see the trees for the forest. And that's where a coach can come in, observe how you play, and hear your thought processes when you get your dealt hand, and when you look to identify the strength of the hand and figure out what to focus on. As you talk through what's going on in your mind, that coach, if they're skilled, they can look for those areas where they can give you some tools, some new, maybe a mindset change, or maybe just a new way to look at things, perhaps a different way to approach the game. They can give you different solutions so that you can break through whatever it is you're struggling with. And sometimes it takes time. Sometimes you get a fantastic aha moment. And those are the things that make it very exciting as a teacher, when we help people get that aha moment. Just keep playing. It is the way. Yes, keep playing, keep watching videos, and the more you play, the more you learn, the better you'll get. And again, mindset is key. You want to have just a really open mindset, and don't be hard on yourself, because this is a hard game. This is a complex game. It is not Go Fish. It's not even Rummy. It is far more complex than any other game. I've played chess. I have not played bridge, but I have played poker. I have played cribbage. I have played a few board games, but Mahjong is different. Mahjong is complex because it is a skill-based game, depending on who you play with. Some people play socially, and it's not so competitive or defensive. So if you play socially and casually, maybe it's not as complex. But if you're like me and you're a competitive person and you play the game for reasons like you want to push yourself, you want to work your brain, you want to better yourself, you want to work on critical thinking, social awareness, things like that, then it is a complex game. So it really depends on how you look at it as well. Learning the card strategies. Yeah, is that a question or a statement? I'm sorry, Kathy. Card strategies, like what? How to read how to read the card, or how to pick a hand? Oh, you're welcome, Jay. Okay, PB for life. Does this PB? The first thing I thought when I saw that was peanut butter. Peanut butter and jelly. My husband loves peanut butter and jelly. PB for life. I see you said, and I didn't quite get it when you wrote that. Just keep playing. It is the way. That almost sounds like something Yoda would say. How to memorize the card. Okay, so Kathy. Now that is an interesting statement because I don't think you need to memorize the card. Now, you should know the categories and you should understand the framework within those categories because there are powers and pitfalls, I call them, for each category, but you don't need to memorize every hand on the card. Over time, you may find that you have memorized them, but you don't have to. I know a lot of advanced players who don't go or don't intentionally memorize the card. It just happens organically. It just happens as they play. It's just part of the process. When the new card comes out in April, the more you play, the more comfortable you get with it, the more you remember the navigation and pivoting and things like that. And every opportunity where you have hand development, where you're considering multiple options, those sorts of experiences, and also pivoting to different hands, all those things help you memorize the card without even trying. It happens just by osmosis. So I don't think it's necessary to just sit there with the card and memorize the hands. I don't do it. And I honestly, I don't know anyone who does. I don't think I know a single person who memorizes the card, but it does happen by osmosis. The more you play, the more familiar you get, the more opportunities you have to navigate the card successfully. And it just ends up being that you memorize the card. Okay, so now, Kathy, do you memorize the card? Maybe you'll be the first person I meet who memorizes the card. And you know what? I think it depends on how you learn. If you learn by memorization, you're a reader, probably. You are you have your learning style is reading. Am I right? If you're a memorizer, you are likely a reader. You read to learn. That would be an example of a learning style a reader learning style. Read and write is what that one is all about. Is that your learning style, reading and writing? There are people who learn by doing, kinesthetics, where they get their hands into the tiles and they've got to play, they've got to do it. Those people are going to need the tiles in their hands or be in-person lessons. And then, of course, we have auditory, where you need to listen, and visual, which everybody needs. And you're going to have all these learning styles, little bits and pieces of them in your personality, but you'll have one primary. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll look for trends in the Charleston. If anyone has any more questions, please put them in the comment section and or in the chat, the live stream chat, and we'll answer those. Let's see, we'll go here. Okay, so here we go. Here's our hand. I'm going to sort by suit. So the first thing that I look for, you just like to see alternative hands more quickly during play. You'd like to see alternative hands. Yep, and we're going to talk about that right now. Okay, so here we go. We've got a joker, pair of flowers, a green dragon pair, and a white dragon. Then we have 1, 3, 4 and cracks. We have 3 crack pair and a 7. And then we have 4, 5 and dots. If these were your tiles, if you would like, no pressure, but if you would like, tell me in the live stream chat what you would target. What category would you focus on and why? I'll give you a minute and I'll look at this myself. I see a couple of ways we could go here. If these were my tiles, I'd focus on the 3 crack pair the green dragon pair, and the flowers. Okay, so Karen says, like numbers with threes or consecutive run. Yep, I would do the same, actually. So let's put that there. We're going to drop this over here, and then we're going to pass the 7 and probably the 1. Now we have to pick a hand or drill into a category. Pick either like numbers or consecutive run. So we have here 3-4 dragon. We have a 4-5. We have a pair of threes. I would probably try to play something with that, the pair of threes. So I would probably let the 5 go. You know what though? Wait, we could play 3 crack 4 bam 5 dot 3 4 5. Let the dragon go, or we could play like numbers with threes, but we have a gap. We have no 3 dot, but we could use the joker maybe. Okay, so let's pass and see what happens. Now this first pass, you can't get a trend out of one pass, but we're going to try to remember what this person gave us. That was the first right. So we got an east, a 1, and a 6. That's a really good pass. There's not a lot we can determine based on this pass. The one thing we could say is they're not playing winds. They could be playing north and south, but if someone's playing north and south with something, they're probably going to keep the east. So the player on our left is probably not focused on winds at all. They probably are not going to play little odds, and they're probably not going to play 3-6-9 or 2-4-6-8. That's what I would determine based on that. So they're likely going to be playing maybe big odds or big runs. That would be my first guess. So I sort of want to remember that. Big odds, big runs. Let's see what happens with the next pass. And this, by the way, can be our pass. So now here comes the pass from the person across from us. Now here we have 1 little number and 2 big numbers. So they're probably not playing big runs. They're probably not playing 3-6-9 or 2-4-6-8. Now they gave us a 1, so they're probably not playing little odds. I'd say they're probably not playing odds at all because they gave us a 1 and a 9. So let's see. We went right across. Now we're doing the first left. So we're going to pass, let's say this time, 1-8-5. We'll keep that. I'm thinking like numbers with threes, even though we have a gap. Okay, now here we have evens. Look, we got 2-3-4 mixed suits, 2-3-4. This player who gave us that pass right there, this player on the right, they're not playing 3-6-9. They could be playing. So let's see, we had not 8-9-9. We had a wind, only 1 wind though. These other 2 players could be playing winds. No 3s came through and no 4s came through. We gave away a 5. So now in this next pass, this is where you can see the trend. So and by the way, this is a bit advanced. This is more intermediate level because you got to juggle a lot and you've got to remember what people are passing. So this is more advanced. If you're a newbie, this may be a bit overwhelming, but just take it slow and think about it. Just really try to remember what is coming through your hand. Because if your hand is not developing, you can switch. For example, here, we could switch to 3-6-9. Not a 9 was passed by another player. If we switched to 3-6-9, we would leverage that trend because here's another 9. So let me show you here. Here's 3, 3, a 3 bam, and a 6 crack. We could switch to 3-6-9. Now we'd have to break up a pair of dragons, but we could still keep that. We might be able to use that. There's a dragon hand, 2 dragon hands in 3-6-9, the 3rd one down in the concealed hand. So You can do that, but I think that we have greater strength with 2, 3, 4, or like numbers with threes. So let's pass 1, 6, 9. And let's see what we get in this next pass. If 9s come in and a 6, we might switch again. We might. Let's just see what happens. A 5 came in. So now we have also a pung of dragons. Okay, so with a pung of dragons, I'd let that 2 go. And then focus on either like numbers with threes, or yeah, this 4 can go. Well, no, you know what? We could keep that 4, because if we get a 2 or a 5, we could maybe play the 5th hand down under consecutive run, but that would be a long shot. And we'd have to throw away a 3 crack pair. So the 4 will likely go. Like numbers concealed, maybe, because we do have a joker. There's a gap though. I try not to play gap hands. It's not ideal to play a gap hand. The chow hand with dragons, that is a possibility, but again, there's a gap. We have no red dragon. So I wouldn't focus on that hand because we have no red dragon. But we'll see. Either way, we're playing a gap hand because we've got no 3 dot. So let's see what happens here. We do have a hand in here with no gaps, 2 dot, 3 crack, 4 bam, or 3 crack, 4 bam, 5 dot, but we would have to throw away a pung of dragons. I think we should leverage the dragon somehow. So that's what we're going to try to do. The flowers and the dragons. We're going to try to find something to use those. Okay, so we have a 1. Now we have the potential for 1, 3 dragon, 1, 3, 5 dragon, 3rd hand down under consecutive run, another gap hand. So here's big tiles. So this is the second right. It looks like people are not wanting big numbers, which means everybody's playing. It seems like everyone's playing with little numbers, which means we're going to probably be in each other's business because a lot of these tiles are big. 7 through 9. There was a 5 going around, a 6. Okay, so let's see what happens here. I think 1, 3 dragon, 3, 4. I think I'd rather pass blind. Okay, we got 6s. So 3, 6, 9, 3. Yeah, I don't think I would switch anything, and I would pass 2. We could have had a pretty good run with 3, 6, 9. As a matter of fact, let's do another round. We'll do another iteration with 3, 6, 9. Okay, so let's pass 2. Okay, we got a 5 dot back, which is good because now we can do 3, 4, 5 dragon, 3, 4, 5 flower. But I would rather leverage this dragon pung. So we're in between. We're going to be an underdog. We're in between. We have a gap if we play like numbers with threes. And then if we play 3, 4, 5, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 discards. We're probably closest to like numbers with threes concealed. We have 5 discards for that hand and a gap. But we could define this as a 3 dot and fill that gap with that as a 3 dot. So let's do this. We're going to play with the same tiles because the trend that I saw was 3, 6, 9. And that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to look at 3, 6, 9 this time. So let's hold the 3s. Now, we do have the benefit of knowing what went around, but every change that you make in these passes it's going to create a chain reaction. So we're going to see different tiles come around. We may not see 3, 6, 9. We may end up in 3, 4, 5. So let's just see what happens. We're going to let the 1 go, the 7, and now we need to make a choice. Let's go ahead and pass. I have a hair stuck on me here. Let's pass the 4. Let's see, I got to keep my eye on the time here. Okay, so we got a 9. We're going to keep it. And we have tiles we can pass. We don't need those at all. And there's a 6. Okay, now here's something to think about. A 5-dot pair. We ended up with a 5-dot pair. This is that chain reaction I'm talking about, because now everything's going to change. We have a 3-crack pair and a 5-dot pair. Well, we gave away the 1, but at the time we had no 5, or the right 5, really. But here we have a 3-crack and a 5-dot. So I would pass the 1, and then I would probably let the 9 go and the white dragon. We have a 5-6 dragon. Okay, now we have a 4. And we're going to keep going. But here we have 3-crack, 4-bam, 5-dot. I think we should just drill into that hand, just commit, because we have 2 pair there. Now, what we could do is maybe keep the dragons and the 3, because we might be able to play like numbers with 3s if a 3-dot comes in. Okay, there's a 4. So that was a good choice. And look, a 9-crack came in, but there's tiles we can pass. Now here we have a pair of green dragons. We have 3, 4, 5, 3 different pairs. Look at that. I think we could probably make this better by letting one of the dragons go. Okay, we have no keepers here. So let's pass an east with a 3 and the dragon. And now we can pass 3, west 1, dragon. Okay, so what's interesting here is we still ended up with 5 discards, but we have a hand with no gaps. Hand with no gaps, we could Kong 3 or 5. We have our pair, and we have 2 flowers. So we ended up with a better situation because we've got 3 multiples there. Even though we leveraged 3, 6, 9, the multiple that showed up was the 5. Then eventually we got a 4, and we're leveraging multiples, which is the nuance of American Mah Jongg. It's a game of multiples. Every single hand on the card uses multiples. So you want to play with the end in mind. You're going to need multiples in the end. So if you target them and build around them, gather for them, you're going to set yourself up for success. Okay, so Susan was commenting about 135. Well, let's go ahead and replay and we'll see about 135. So here's a 1. We do not have a 5 yet, but let's just see what happens. Oh, wait, we don't have the right 5, I should say, because we have a green dragon. Okay, so here's another 3. All right, so here we go. Now here, I would not pass 2 4s. That would be super risky. Okay, so we ended up with a 6. We're focused on 135. This just shows you how flexible the game is. If you focus on whatever you focus on and you gather for that trend in your own hand, the hand development progression, the transformation, if you follow it along and you anticipate where it's going, you can leverage the trend in your own hand. So not only are you watching the trend in the passes that are going around from your opponents, but you're anticipating the trend in your own hand. And that comes with time. Okay, look, we got the 1 bam and a 1 crack. Oh my gosh, Susan, look, we could play 135 concealed. I would stop the Charleston and pass 2. Look at this, Susan, you're a genius. 1 3 bam, 1 3 crack, 5-dot pair. We're 3 away. We would be a front runner for this hand. 1 3 5 concealed. And it's because we just made different decisions during the Charleston. That's how powerful the Charleston is. It will transform your hand. And if you can anticipate the trends, you can leverage that and set yourself up for success. You were following the ones. You saw the one. You saw the ones. You're awesome. That was the best result out of them. So 1, 3, 1, 3, 5. Okay, let's go ahead and exit, and we'll play with robots for one hand. And I think that's all we'll have time for. Any comments about the Charleston, the power of the Charleston, and trends? Let me know what you think. Okay, so here we have pair 4 crack. So that's, I would target the 4, and then I would look at the rest of my hand, and I would keep tiles that I can use with the 4. You might say, well, why not 2, 4, 6, 8? We have no 2. There's no 2 in here. So I would not play 2, 4, 6, 8. Instead, I would play 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5, maybe even 3, 4, 5, 6, because we do have 6s. So we're going to pass the west, a green, and then let's let the 8 crack go. Now we might even hold that 1, because if we get a 2, we could do 1 through 5. But anytime you say the word if, or you say I hope, that's a long shot. Don't play for a long shot. It could be an option, but don't let that be your primary focus. Our primary focus is 3, 4, 5 of some kind. 3, 4, 5 of some kind. There's another 1, but I think I would let it go. We do have 1, 3, 5 there, but the 4 crack, that's what we're targeting. 4 crack. Okay, so we did get a dragon and some 9s. So there is a lot of 3, 6, 9 in here. Let me just show you the 3, 6, 9. 6, 3, 9, 3, 6, 9. Okay, there's 3, 6, 9 right there. But we have a pair of 4s. I would focus on the 4s. Let's let the 6 and the 9 go. Not that. Let's do this one and this one. I would stick with 3, 4, 5. American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples. So if you target the multiple, you're going to set yourself up for success more times than not. Than if you focus on a pattern. Okay, now we have a pair of 9s. So now we can reassess because a new multiple showed up, and we may be able to leverage that trend retroactively. So instead of 3, 4, 5, maybe we can focus on 3, 6, 9 and leverage those 3, 6, 9 tiles. So let's keep going. Let's pass the east. We have 6, 8, 9, or 3, 6, 9. Let's focus on, let's see here. Let's let the 8 go. 3, 4, 5. Let's let the dragon go. 8, 9. Let's let this 8 go instead. 8, 9. Okay, here we go. Ew, terrible. That was awful. We can let that 8 go now. So we're in between 3, 4, 5, and 3, 6, 9. There's the 9, and we have a 6, and we have now a 2. 2, 3, 4, 5. The west can go. So now we're in between 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3, 6, 9. 3, 4, 3, 4. Here's our 3, 4 dot. 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 3, 6 dot, 3, 9 crack, 6 bam, 9 bam. 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'd just pass 1. Okay, and now we can do just 1, kind of in between. Okay, so let's see what happens now. We're an underdog. 3, 4, 5 of some kind, or maybe 3, 6, 9. So now let's just trust the process and see. Okay, now we have another joker. So we need to pick 2, 3, 4, 5 or 3, 6, 9. I don't feel that the 3, 6, 9 is gelling well. I would probably focus on 2, 3, 4, 5 because we have a hand with no gaps right here. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get it in there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 3, 4, 6. I don't think we need that 6, but let's just see what happens. Don't need an 8. We're going to go fast because we have like 2 minutes. Okay, now there's an option for us, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this trend here with 3, 6, 9, look, 3, 6, 9, 6, 9, a red. We can keep that for maybe corresponding dragon hand. I think the 9 crack is going to have to go. Don't need south. We're trusting the process. I wouldn't call anything yet. We don't even know what hand we're playing yet. So we're just gathering. We're not even thinking about a hand right now. We have way too many discards right now. I would probably let the 9 go now. We're just going to let it go. Okay, now here's a deciding tile. 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a corresponding dragon. The green dragons are out. I would let that go. And probably the 6 as well. 2, 3, 4, 5. Pung kong, second hand down on the left is probably what I would focus on. Although there's a dragon. Now I want a stinking flower. 2, 3, 4 flower with the dragon. Okay, there's a 5. So now let's let the 4 dot go. 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll ignore that. Okay, now this is where we should make a choice. I think we need to make this choice here. 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we should call and Kong. And then I'd let the dragon go. So we're committing to the second hand down on the left. Okay, that's my meeting coming up here. We'll cancel, ignore. Okay. So we'll pung. So we're 2 away. We're now in the end game. So I'd say we're a contender just because of the kind of hand we're playing. Oh, we don't want to hold that. But we're playing a hand of least resistance. This is where you can have two punks and 2 conks, and you can leverage jokers, any number of jokers for this hand. Okay, we have a Martin. No surprise. All right. Well, I think that was an interesting hand. We ended up in consecutive run. We had a pair left over there, and I think we got down to 35 tiles remaining. We might have been able to pull it off. We needed jokers, of course, because we needed to Kong the 5. I don't remember if they were out, but I think that was a good result. We were 2 away at 35-ish tiles remaining. So I think we did good on that one. Thank you for being here with me. I hope you found it helpful. We'll be back again every Tuesday from 1 to 2 for the Learning Lab Player Edition, where we focus on answering your questions in a safe space and also demonstrating some kind of skill or strategy based on the needs of the group or a chosen topic that typically will meet the needs of the group. Remember, if you use Facebook, to go there and look for the Learning Lab #MAHJLIFE so that you can join and get all your answers from vetted instructors. You can walk away confident that you're taking away jewels of knowledge. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.